7,995, which would make my second quartile. This is my first quartile. I'm going backwards. My first quartile at the lowest range is at 7,988. That's my first quartile. That's the first 25% of my data right here. My second quartile is right between my fifth and sixth data, which is 7,995 and 7,999, which would put my second quartile at 7,997. Second quartile. Right there. My third quartile is up here at 9,096, and that's 75% of my data. 75% of my data. And then I actually have a fourth quartile, which maybe you hadn't heard before. Fourth quartile is when everything, and it's at 12,979. So these are my four quartiles. I have something called the interquartile range, which tells me how closely together the middle is, and once again is a measure of disbursement, which is the third quartile minus the first quartile. So this would be 9,096 minus the 7,988. And it's going to be just over 1,000. So that gives me my measures of disbursement and my measures of central tendency, except for the mode. And I had to look this up a little bit. Mode is the most often used. And in this case, it would be the 7,995, because that's more than once. However, mode is most often used when you're talking about categories of things and not just numbers. So if, for example, you go to Subway and you ask for the mode of the Subway sandwiches they sell, they can tell you exactly which one it is. Or you can tell that the most common car being bought today is probably the Toyota Camry or the Honda Civic. Those are the mode car. And we don't use them, and they're not as important when you talk about using them as numbers. Okay, so in summary, when we talk about average, we don't always mean the mean. Sometimes we mean the median, and even sometimes we mean the mode. The average car is the Camry. And finding the average, whatever way we use it, is important for many things, not just cars. And that's important to know and kind of keep in mind. The other thing is that when we are talking about cars and buying cars, that price is not always the most important thing. Remember that Hummer that was almost $70,000? Well, it turns out it only had 3,000 miles on it. And that probably accounted for the difference in price. There's usually something. So I hope when you go out and buy a car that you're a little bit better informed on what kind of car and what you're looking for and how to negotiate intelligently. And also, as promised, I wanted to show you me when I was in your shoes. The first car that I ever drove was a '69 Vista Cruiser, Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser. And this is a picture of what it might have looked like, except mine was silver. Of course, actually, it was probably a little more rust colored than silver. And this is a good example of it. And this is what I looked like when I was driving it. Yep, love those Farrah Fawcett Major. You probably don't get the reference. Hair, the little wings. That was me, your teacher. I hope you did your Cornell notes, and I will see you in class next time.